We got a lot to get into, but of course, the kickoff of week 2, the kickoff of inner NFC East play, Washington versus the Giants. I can't, just to avoid the turnover chain, I'm just going to call them Washington forever, because calling them the football team,
it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's a little off.
It feels foreign. It's not even a double O football thing. You have to have a mascot. It can't just be the team. It doesn't feel right, and it never will.
What a brilliant move it was by whoever did it to basically think to himself, I'm going to get the copyrights for 100 possible names, and they're going to owe me money. And out of spite, the Washington football team decided not to adopt a mascot. It's almost like it's a protest against being forced to change it, but then every other possible name taken by that guy who decided to just copyright it. It was pretty brilliant.
Well, you get a couple of years to sell Washington football team gear.
That's true.
You get to sell until nobody wants that anymore. And once sales slow down, pick a name, start over again. They have to come back and get a new jersey. I think it's asinine and inane and awful, but it's also brilliant because they're going to make a little bit more money. And that, at the end of the day, that's what little Danny Snyder's always after. It's about the cash.
And then football team becomes a throwback. And as we see with the Spurs Fiesta jerseys, the retro is more popular when it becomes retro.
If we're going to talk retro jerseys, I could eat this up all day, because I think that the Spurs retro jersey, while being beautiful, and I appreciate the fast break and Fiesta idea, it represents our city quite well in this age. It represents a time in San Antonio Spurs basketball that I want to forget. There was nothing good that happened during that era other than David Robinson being on the team, and we drafted him, though he had nothing to do with the fast break and Fiesta era. So I look back fondly, though. When I see it, all I can remember is heartbreak, agony, pain, losses.
They were still winning teams, though.
But they were winning. But at that point, we thought that was good enough. At that point, we were happy to hang a Midwestern Division champion. That was all we could hope for. But in hindsight, 5 rings later, what a monumental waste of a couple of 5 years. We just weren't very good for lots of reasons. We fed narratives that we were soft. We fed narratives that we were a too small town and too former ABA-ish. All of that just kind of played into that era, and it looks good now. But when you lived through it, every year ended in awful pain and misery. From Charles Barkley literally shutting down the Alamo Dome, to Karl Malone and John Stockton just beating David senseless at one point in Utah, getting knocked out. We had broken feet and Dennis Rodman. I mean, it was just awful. It was just a terrible time, but a good-looking jersey. So I don't look back fondly. I look back currently, and I like what I see. I just don't like remembering the era that it came from.
Well, when you win 5 championships following that,
changes you.
Yeah, exactly. And at least it wasn't the pre-David Robinson years where they were trying to recover from the loss of George Gervin, the post-Gervin years. Those are the dark ages in San Antonio Spurs franchise history.
It was. Traded George for big, tall dude, Artis Gilmore, and a couple of pieces and parts.
I would love to get Iceman in, mainly to talk about that one year where he probably played mentor to Michael Jordan in 1984 in Chicago.
They did cross paths, though I don't think there was a whole lot of mentoring going on.
I'd love to hear about it, though, at least from Iceman's perspective. We know we're never going to hear Jordan's side of it.
Well, there was a story that I'm afraid George might have been involved with. That we will, if you look back to The Last Dance, remember Michael talking about walking into a hotel room in a preseason game and a bunch of guys doing some stuff they probably shouldn't have been doing.
I was thinking more about on the court. You know,
I'm just saying
Iceman to this day is very much anti-3-pointer. He's like, why would you want to take a lower percentage shot? And maybe that rubbed off on MJ. Well, hey, Tony says, what's up? We are live on Facebook now. He loves the show. We love you back. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Facebook Live, YouTube, or my favorite, sasportstar.com. Yeah, we're going to have to just get nostalgic about the Spurs before Tim Duncan came around. I know it's not the best nostalgia, but there's some fun times in there that could be had. I know They
I
get
don't think of any,
overshadowed.
Carl. I can't think of any good times.
Didn't David Robinson have like a near quadruple double?
Oh,
Or he did have a quadruple double?
He had a quadruple, and we've had 2 quadruple doubles in San Antonio Spurs history. David with only 1. Can you think of the other that offered a rather unique stat in the NBA? Alvin Robertson had a quadruple double, the first that I recall with the Spurs. David, I believe, ended up with 2, maybe just 1. There were, we had individual highlights, but there's not a lot of glory in the fat lady singing and the Bullets coming back from a 4-1 a 3-1 deficit, 3-0 deficit to take the Eastern Conference when we were way back in the Eastern Conference.
When Danny Ferry pulled the lights, he was the kid. His father was the executive for the Bullets, right?
He was the president.
And then there was a blackout when the Spurs had all the momentum. It's like, oh, we need to stop this. We're going to get eliminated. No. Little Danny, go find the lights.
Yeah, we'd like to blame the lights. I think we'll put it squarely on with Bobby Dandridge and Wes Unseld and a great Washington basketball team that came back and beat a poorly executing Spurs team. But when we look back fondly on things, for those of us that lived through it, it wasn't all that good. We just went through the greatest era. That was the greatest era has been the last 15 years. That's the greatest era.
The best era that wasn't Jordan Bulls or Boston Celtics, Bill Russell teams. And there are people that even argue that it was kind of rough going there those 2 years that MJ took off. So maybe the best nonstop 19 years of a franchise.
It's hard to question. And as we head into the NBA season, Pop will see the fruits of those great years when he becomes the winningest regular season coach in NBA history. That's the appropriate way to say it.
James will wrap up our Spurs talk to start the show here as he says 71-point Rodman game. That was for the scoring title too.
Yeah, that was a good time. It happened up in LA, over in LA. No one got to see the game. It was back when those were not televised as often as it was. That was the end of a season. And John Lucas let David go shoot, man. Go get it.
Even back as recently as the 2007 season, there were only 50-something games televised. So I remember there was a game that I missed that I would have liked to see when James White entered.
The strike in 99, the shortened season in 99 changed the paradigm for television. When they came back, there was prior to that, there was the belief that when a team played at home and you televised the game, no one would go to the game. Well, that was very quickly proven to be false. The moment the lockout ended, the Spurs win the title that year. Everybody watches at home. They go to games, and the idea of what was changed from that year on for the rest of the NBA too. Unless, of course, you're on a provider, whether it be satellite or cable, that gets into spat with the delivery system, the Bally's of the world, and then you don't get the home games anyway.
And that's like a middle school election. They're just going back and forth at each other saying, blame YouTube TV. No, blame the company, Bally. They're not negotiating good faith. I just want to watch the games. I don't even care if all of a sudden Bally charges something like $25 a month to do unlimited streaming. I would do that right now as opposed to paying for cable, which is literally for the purpose of getting Spurs. But I digress. So we got a football game tonight. The football team taking on the New York Giants. Here's some stats. I love these little insights that I get from NFL.com. The Washington football team has allowed 20 points or fewer in 8 straight games dating back to the 2020 season, the longest active streak in the NFL, and the longest for Washington since 2004. So we know about their good defense. But on the other side of it, the Giants are 4-0 versus the Washington football team since 2019. So Daniel Jones has their number.
Why do you think that is? What is it that Daniel Jones does that Washington has trouble with? Is it his mobility? I think if we looked and saw what Daniel Jones did in those games, that maybe it was his ability to get away from that really remarkable defensive front seven that Washington offers. That's the only way I could find why this would be 4-0, because it's not like the Giants are better than Washington over the last couple of years.
Do you want to hear a crazy Daniel Jones stat? So he is 4-0 against Washington with a completion percentage of 68%, averaging 7.2 yards per attempt. He has 8 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, and 100 passer rating. Against all other teams, Daniel Jones is 4-19 with a 61% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, and an 89 passer rating. It's his Super Bowl every time he plays Washington. He knows it's a division game. He knows it's a tough defense. He comes ready, but he has as many wins against Washington in his career that he has against the entire NFL, everybody else that he's gone up against.
Yet Washington took the NFC least last year.
Yes.
This looks like a fair to average football game. And we were talking about it earlier on the show, and Carl brought up, well, maybe the two bad teams will make for a good game. Maybe we'll get something that's worthwhile watching the last 8 minutes of the game like we saw on Monday night. But I have my reservations. I'm looking forward to tonight's game solely to watch this defensive line for the Redskins. I think that Chase Young and Deron Payne and John Allen and Montez Sweat, that's the best defensive line in football. I'll tell you, Danny, you better lace them up and be ready to run. And Saquon, they're going to need you tonight.
Well, Chase Young and Montez Sweat are a dynamic duo. Two of the three players with 7.5 sacks, 10+ tackles for loss, and 5+ passes defended since 2020. The only other one is J.J. Watt. So
ridiculous.
Those are two guys that you have to deal with on that front line of the Washington defense. It's a tall task. And like we said, they've allowed 20 or fewer points for 20 points coming last week against the Chargers for the last 8 games. Sure, they won the division, but man, what about their offense? I'm not sure that Tyler Heineke finishes the game.
It could be trouble. I do like their offense. I think Terry McLaurin is a star in waiting. He proved a fair amount last year. I'm not sure how good Antonio Gibson is. I know I like what I see, but this isn't a devastating offense. They've got enough pieces and parts between Logan Thomas and McLaurin. And if Heineke can be reasonably mobile and get the ball downfield, I do think that Washington should be favored, though I have the feeling that the Giants have been playing a little bit of possum this week, holding back Saquon, maybe focusing on conference and division games. If he was held back last week, would he have 10 carries? I think they're going to need to have him at least be a threat for most of the game to keep that defensive line off of Danny Dimes so he can get the ball downfield. And if they can't, this Washington team could take it pretty easy.
I just want a good football game, especially when it's a night game. You're the only other game on. I can't flip to one of the other noon or 3:30 kickoffs. Give me a good game. That's what I'm looking for. I want to come back I'll record the first half, but I want to come back and watch the second half and see a good game. That'll be the key.
One of the things we want to make sure you are caught up with all the news that is fit to read and speak with friends. Carl collates it, so let's get into it. Let's get all the news you need to know. Carl, what you got?
Carl's Countdown.
We got a Shams shocker that came down for headline 2. Free agent center Jahlil Okafor is signing a non-guaranteed deal with the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's one of the last kind of floating around out there that can genuinely help the team.
Well, yeah, he was involved in the DeAndre Jordan trade, and then he was released from the Nets when he got there, and almost immediately. So he's picked up here. Also, something that didn't make the countdown or any of our conversations is Marc Gasol is a free agent. If there's any air left in those tires, he might be able to help out somebody who's looking for a veteran presence, if nothing else.
Yeah, he's a winner. I don't think there's any need for him to go back to Spain and play Euroball. Somebody's going to sign him. He's a winner. I'd like him. If there was room at the Spurs, if he would come at a rate, that would be a guy I'd be chasing.
There's definitely not room at the Spurs.
No.
We got Spurs actual roster talk coming up next segment, but that's obviously a guy that Pop has always enjoyed and wanted to have on his team. But I think Pop going after some past their prime vets might be a thing of the past for Pop as well. All right, headline 1. The Milwaukee Bucks named Lisa Byington the team's television play-by-play announcer on Bally Sports Wisconsin. Byington becomes the first female full-time TV play-by-play announcer for a men's major professional sports team.
About time. It finally happened. I know that the talent pool for women doing play-by-play isn't deep. But when you see women break these glass ceilings, go watch what they're doing because you know they are great at it. They had to be great to get here, greater than their men competition. I guarantee, never heard her do anything. I think I remember her doing soccer at the Olympics. I read where she did it, and I watched some of those games, and I didn't think it was bad. But I know this: if she was hired, she had to be better than anybody else applying. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to the day when this isn't news, other than a new play-by-play person for an organization.
Absolutely. It's obviously the first one gets named, and probably second or third. By the time you get to the fourth, it's just another one.
Exactly.
You can't start counting past three, in my opinion. All right, and headline 0. The Raiders reportedly filed a complaint with the NFL over alleged dirty hits on wide receiver Hunter Renfrow in the win over the Ravens. The Raiders, who beat the Ravens 33-27 in overtime on Monday, reportedly sent the league video compilation of multiple plays in which Renfrow was hit either after the play or well away from the ball. And then Humphrey, who plays for the Ravens, said, yeah, I did hit him a little after the play. I apologize. I thought Derek Carr was out of the pocket, but I wish I could take it back.
But what I saw, yeah, there was some legitimate reason for complaint. Baltimore's got to hit you no matter what. But was it Patrick Queen? I think Patrick Queen brought a little bit of wood extra. I think he hit a little, and you talked about Bobby as well. All that being said, watching Hunter Renfrow play, you kind of want to hit that dude really hard. There's something about the way that he's got the wiggle and he's trying to get – he's the kind of guy that's ripe to get plucked. Just take him out. It's one of those guys I want to hit. I don't know why.
It reminds me of J.J. Barea in a way.
Something like that.
It's like, come on now. Although Barea was the flopper, but at the same time, J.J. Barea was also 5'7", so anytime he got hit by any of those 6'2" and bigger guys, maybe it was legitimate being hit.
Well, they also were mad at him because they couldn't cover him.
That's
he
true.
Kept catching the ball.
Oh, yeah, especially that 2011 series where he was just going crazy against the Heat. So, yeah, that's the headlines there. Thank you, Edwin. Twitterless Edwin running the show as James Pledge is very focused doing something back there. You can watch both of them on our live stream, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, my favorite, sasportstar.com. So we got to the headlines a little early, but I do want to kind of tease forward the next segment. The Spurs went on a field trip.
Was it an organized field trip? I mean, did the Spurs have a team mom and they drove them all out?
They had a very special teacher. I got to make sure that y'all understand this is the most special teacher of all time. And you don't want to hear, you don't want to miss what I take away from this photo, as there's some measurements that we can start speculating about where the team chemistry is coming from.
What kind of picture are we looking at here?
And maybe, get your mind out of the gutter, Pledge. Come on now.
Oh, it's not in the gutter.
Well, what are you giving me the eyes for then?
Oh, the eyes are very warranted.
So the Spurs were out at one of the missions. Was it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a mission. I'm not sure which one. I'll look it up during the break. But we got a lot. We got something that we could talk about here. Most importantly, who wasn't there? There's a couple theories that we've been tossing around on halftime about who might not be on the Spurs by the end of things. As it's all getting closer here to training camp, and some rumors of those guys maybe being on the move. But hey, we'll talk about that and more here on Halftime. This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM.
Every football season history is made.
Prescott walks the dog. Touchdown.
Every football season history is written.
Perfect strike to Amari Cooper.
San Antonio Sports Star has been alongside history as the exclusive voice of the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody knows the Cowboys as we do. Not even close. Catch every touchdown and every play here. Exclusively on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Companies. If you thought you missed your chance to refinance and save, think again. Mortgage rates have recently dropped, and Rocket Mortgage can help you save big when you call 8338-ROCKET today. For example, with a $250,000 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, you could get a new low rate under 3%. If your current rate is over 3.75%, you could lower your payment by over $100 a month, saving thousands in interest. But you've got to act now, because no one knows how long these low rates will last. So when you need a simple way to get big savings, Rocket can. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Refinance offer assumes a rate of 2.99%, 3.21% APR, 70% loan-to-value ratio for the cost of 1.75 points. $4,375 due at closing. Monthly payment of $1,052.66. Taxes and insurance not included. Payment will be greater. Rates current as of 7/26/21. Conditions apply. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 33.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For for the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. That means that 82% of you listening right now will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring, 82% of you will recall that ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And 82% of you will note that you can try ZipRecruiter for free today. But you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. 82% of you will keep in mind that ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
Scott, is that you? Who are you talking to?
82% of you will also know that I live with my mom. But the most important thing to note is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Will you be part of the 82% who remember where you can try ZipRecruiter for free? It's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Again, that exclusive link is ZipRecruiter.com/free. How much? Free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you think vaccines alone will protect you from COVID-19, think again. More breakthrough cases of COVID variants show that vaccinated people are still vulnerable to the deadly disease. To be safe, monitor regularly for fever, as it's the leading sign of COVID-19. Use Exergen, the only thermometer scientifically proven to detect fever. And beware of non-contact devices that miss 5 out of 6 fevers. Remember, vaccines are not enough. So protect yourself and your family with the Exergen temporal scanner. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
My husband's ED was affecting our marriage. When he first started experiencing ED, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't know who to talk to about it or where to get help. HIMS was our answer. HIMS connected my husband with a licensed provider online. He was able to get medication to treat his ED at a fraction of the price people pay for the name brand. It was delivered to our door, and guess what? Our sex life is back. It works.
Right now, get your first online provider's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/radio. Yep, free. No copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Just the care you need.
Thanks to HIMS, we got our sex life and our marriage back.
To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Giving you an excuse for a long lunch break. It's halftime with Rob Thompson and Carl Schoening on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It's halftime. Carl Schoening, Rob Thompson here on the mics. Edwin running the music. Appreciate the intro there, Edwin.
Going
to
Billy
work.
Squire. Is that Billy Squire?
We've gone through this. No, it's Eminem.
I know it. I was going to do
it.
It's a sample of Billy Squire, though.
Yes.
We're a little behind today because James Pledger went down a really fun rabbit hole for the Cowboys that I want to have Pledger actually explain.
Yeah, these are remarkable numbers. And the premise was, how do the Cowboys perform when Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott reach certain milestones? 10 carries, 20 carries, yardage, passing. And you can find a narrative to fit any stat line. Stats on their own don't tell you much. But when you put all these numbers together, I do think when we talk about what the Cowboys need to do to win football games, I do think we can find a good picture there. It's good research.
It is good research. We got that coming up in more Cowboys news as there was even a coach who had to be carted off of the field. And
Leon Lett, let's just get that out there.
Yeah.
It's hitting the Twitters pretty heavy. Leon Lett collapsed on the practice field. He is former Cowboy defensive line coach. It's a leg injury. It's not a sickness or a heart attack or anything like that.
There you go. Let's
you're
clear
going
that out with what we're
Leon
doing.
Lett carted off practice. You think this dude's been around a bit and probably carrying a little bit extra weight. No, he's got a leg injury that he has been carted off for. So the injury you're seeing to Leon Lett did not actually happen back in 1997. It happened right now, today at practice. He's the assistant coach for the defensive line. And somehow maybe an offensive lineman took him out
And of course, let's not bury the lead. DeMarcus Lawrence had surgery this morning on his broken metatarsal, and I believe it was his right foot. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yikes.
And that's just the general recovery time for the bone. You got to get back in shape after that. And it's so hard to stay in shape when you can't run, walk, bike. There's a fair amount that goes into that. But yeah, plenty of Cowboys talk, and how the Cowboys should utilize Dak and Zeke. They're a dynamic duo of their own in that backfield for Dallas, and there's some interesting numbers that Pledge has been digging up here. But one of my to-do lists as a new San Antonian is to go out to the missions. And
World Heritage Site, you know.
Oh, really?
It is.
Okay. So I had to look it up because I knew it was a mission site. I didn't know which one it was. The San Antonio Spurs, a lot of the new ones and some of the ones that are returning, were out at the Mission San Jose. It looks like a pretty cool place. It's really remote. It's not anywhere near the Alamo.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say remote. They all run about a 4-mile string down the San Antonio River.
Okay. Oh, so remote meaning like it's not near the urbanized area.
Well, it's still inside of 410. It is not far from
really?
where we are. Yeah, the missions run down the old San Antonio River run. They use the water to not only to water their crops, but also built a variety of things using. So, Carl, you got to be very careful when you start asking me about San Antonio history, or my San Antonio Rio, my riverboat captain starts coming out. The Mission San Jose, one of several. We are a World Heritage Site, named such 3 years ago. No, I'm sorry, it's been nearly 5 years now. They were down at San Jose. This seems to be an organized event. Manu was there. They had a chaperone.
Manu was the best teacher on this field trip of all time. Why can't Manu be my teacher all the time? This comes from the American Indians in Texas at the Spanish colonial missions. That's a mouthful of a Twitter handle, but it's at AISCM1 on Twitter. They only have 140 followers, and that has gone up significantly since they tweeted out that the Spurs were out there. And there's several pictures of the Spurs, but there's a group photo. Trey Jones is there. He's the guy who has his eyes closed. He was the one who blinked. Unfortunately, that happens all the time. Drew Eubanks showing off his bulk. He's out there with Derek White. Jock Landale makes his first sighting as a Spur. It's good to see Jock out there. He looks like a badass with some cop glasses and a straight mean mug on his face. Josh Primo, who looks to at least be the same height as Derek White and just a couple inches shorter than the man next to him, new Spur Doug McDermott. Happy to have McBuckets on. And also new Spur Zach Collins, looking like the most chill dude out there. Looks like you'd love to have a beer with Zach Collins. And also Joe Wieskamp, two-way player. Keldon Johnson rounds out the list of Spurs there. There were 9 of them total. And, assistant coach in spirit, Manu Ginobili, bringing them all together. No Luka. I wish Luka would be out there. There's a chance he's, just still over in Croatia getting the last couple of weeks of summer in, because obviously he's the only he's the European on the roster, obviously.
Was Luka over at UTSA last week?
I don't believe he was playing.
On those videos?
I don't believe he was hooping out there. Those are cool videos. It's been a few of them going out there. No Lonnie. It'd be cool to see Lonnie, but he's in town, and they know
Lonnie
each other.
Was at one point.
Yeah, Lonnie.
There have been several get-togethers. And I do think Luka was over at UTSA. Now he might have left and gone back home.
Yeah, Lonnie and Luka weren't on the on this particular field trip, but I was really hoping to be able to see Thaddeus Young, and I feel so bad. I'm looking at his Instagram. I'm looking at his Twitter. On his Twitter, he still has #BullsNation.
What I appreciate about this, it does show that the process that the Spurs use to develop players is all-encompassing. There's not just basketball. There is the health side of things, as we've watched Luka put on weight, and we've commented over the last couple of days watching what Eubanks looks like over the off season. So you've got the personal side, you've got the professional side, and then there is just the team building side that Pop has always paid very close attention to. There's always team meals. There's always gatherings when they're on the road. He gives books to the types to read and all of that. And to see these guys out and about, I do think should bode real well for San Antonio Spurs fans, because that next generation, we do see them out and about a lot, and they're together a lot, whether it be out at UTSA playing against UTSA players, whether it's out at the missions, over at Bolero over the week on Monday for the Salvation Army's Bowl-a-thon. It's good to see the young guys out. That tells us the next generation is busy.
Lonnie Walker was out at a tailgate event for UTSA football last week before the Lamar game. So, yeah, these young guys, they're very happy to be here. I'm excited for this young crew. I would love it if Thaddeus Young would show up to San Antonio and be part of this young group. Maybe he will be, but he just seems to be in so many rumors these days. And you got to see what the Spurs' tough cuts are. He won't be one of them, but he's seeming to be more likely to not be part of the group. I would love it if he were the starting four on this squad, though. However, his Instagram, which he keeps up with because he is somebody who has 45,000 followers, it says investor, athlete, philanthropist, husband, father, advisor. Why not Spur? Why not Spur, Thad? You know why? Because his number's 21. We can't let you have that like LaMarcus have 12. I'm sorry, Thad.
The Celtics have retired so many numbers that now when you watch them play, they look dumb.
We're going to put decimal points behind Celtics numbers.
No one should ever have to wear 38 on a basketball court. At least the Spurs, there's enough numbers where you can still look cool. You just don't get 21.
I want to say Marcus Smart wore 5 at Oklahoma State, and he gets to Boston. He's like, "You're 36. We're sorry. We're saving 5 for when KG retires."
Which is absolutely the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sorry, Celtic fan, you have to wear dumb numbers when you get transferred over. Having these guys out and about, especially this time of the year, this is the time where the NBA guys head to the hills. I mean, these guys, this is prime vacation period because they got to be back to training camp in about a month. So normally these guys spend early September on the road, come back, start cutting weight. You know, they spent the offseason putting on muscle weight. Now they got to get into basketball shape. And you get into shape before camp now, not when you show up to camp. You've got to be ready to go. So they still have some time to mess around, and it's good to see them in the city.
I would love to have Anthony Falzone on, the head of strength and conditioning for the Spurs, because these guys, I just want to ask how they get so jacked, because a lot of them are filling out their frames as 19 and 20-year-olds, and that might be a fun interview to have. Anthony's a good guy as well as the Spurs. They're out and about, and it's fun to see that.
On the Twitter feed, does it say which Native American tribe they were working with? Was it by chance the Payaya?
They have an accent mark here, but that sounds right. The TAP, but there's an accent mark, so it's like top. I don't want to mispronounce it, but they went through the lengths to find the characters. But the Piam sounds right because that is one of them here, and
they had named the river Yanaguana.
Koheswan? I can't pronounce this. I don't want to try, but you should follow them on Twitter following that. I'm sure it's bouncing around. I'll retweet it. You can follow me at Carl ESPN. That's Carl with a K. No. And I'm dyslexic anyway, so my mind will put letters in there that aren't actually there. So I need to hear it, and then I'll write it down in my own handwriting so I can read it correctly. He's at Rob Thompson ESPN. Edwin's Twitterless. I am Pledger joining us in here, so you can't see him. So that I am Pledger is not right. That's Edwin if you're watching us on sasportstar.com like you should be. So there was a noticeably different haircut for my team, the Eagles center, as
you talk about Jason Kelce?
Jason Kelce shows up to the podium with blonde hair, and the reason was really funny. It's because he lost a bet with Zach Ertz. The bet was whether or not the Eagles tight end, Zach Ertz, would be there by the home opener. And Kelce lost it and dyed his hair. And, Ertz was part of that Doug Peterson exodus, if you will. People were assuming that since he wasn't going to get the contract extension he wanted, the Eagles didn't want him, and thus he didn't want to be in Philly, which he's refuted several times. He wants to be in Philly, but he also wants to get paid in Philly. And Dallas Goedert, who the Eagles, I'm pretty sure, drafted not just because he's a good tight end, but to steal him away from Jerry Jones. Dallas would have been a great.
The Cowboys did have him circled. That was one of the possible draft picks, and they ended up going a different direction. But Dallas Goedert very easily could have been a Dallas Cowboy, no question.
I was told by some of my Cowboy friends that Goddard seemed to be personal. They took it a little personally.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a position in need because ever since, ever since Witten, I'm trying to think of the last tight end to think of because he literally got to the point where Witten was really good hands, but he couldn't move. He ran the route, caught the ball, and fell forward.
He was 5 yards. Whether they needed 10, they got 5.
Yeah, that's how Witten's career ends. As Vince Trevino joins us on Facebook, says, "Howdy, gents. What's up, Edwin?" So you get that on there. And the NFC East in general seems to be heading towards a series of games. I heard it on Greeny this morning, going back to tonight, that tonight might be an elimination game.
Well, by your numbers, Carl, we talked about it yesterday. You start out 0-2. Only 11% of the teams that start 0-2 eventually make the playoffs. And as when we look at Cowboys numbers, you can find a narrative for any stat. If you start out 0-2, you probably weren't any good anyway. Sometimes you start out 0-2 and you got 2 tough teams. But for the most part, the numbers tell you that you stumble out of the block, it's very hard to right the ship. So there are several teams already looking at what could be considered by history elimination game. And this certainly feels like it because both of these teams are going to flounder this year. The good news is so will the Cowboys, you get the feeling, and the Eagles will have an issue as well. I don't think any team is going to be eliminated in the NFC East till about November because they're all going to be mediocre and even.
Yeah, that's the one good thing about being in the NFC East. If I'm not mistaken, and maybe you guys can argue with me about this, is the NFC East the most compelling division despite having the worst teams?
It is by far the least compelling division.
Just because we're Eagles and Cowboys fans, we kind of pay a little more attention to it.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of good football being played in the East.
But it's the major TV markets that keep it talked about, I guess.
No, you're right. And you can't dispute the fact that when you're watching the networks, they're headquartered in New York. So you're going to always get a little bit more Jet talk and a little bit more Giant talk than you'd be accustomed to from, say, a team out of Los Angeles or, a broadcast out of LA. They don't really focus on the Rams or the Chargers just because that's LA. But any broadcast comes out of the East, yeah, you're going to focus on it. But the NFC East and maybe the AFC South might be the two most boring, inconsequential conferences out there because ain't no Super Bowl champ coming out of those two divisions. It's just not going to happen.
I guess that's true. It's just fun watching the race to see who's the best of the worst.
And there is that narrative because you've got Riverboat Ron trying to find a quarterback, but they're about a third of the way into their rebuild. You've got the Giants trying to figure out if they are, in fact, even rebuilding. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles maybe second-guessing their quarterback issues after we saw at least a small sample size of Jalen Hurts. He looked pretty damn good, but we know there's other issues. And the Cowboys, well, it's the Cowboys. Overexpected, overhyped, and so far underdelivered.
How are they in the East?
How are the
the Cowboys? How are they in the East, in NFC East?
How are they as far as
directionally challenged? NFL decided they're in the NFC East.
Oh, I see where you're getting. Well, when they joined the NFC East, there weren't that many teams in the West. It was really just the NFL. The AFL was just kind of getting involved. So keep in mind, the Cowboys have started out as the Kansas City. They became the Texans. They moved to Kansas City. They became the Chiefs. The Cowboys came in and were what was to become the NFC. So when they first got going, they were about as far west as you were going to go.
Siberian Sneak says the NFC North is the least compelling division. Vikings stink, Lions stink, Bears stink. If Rodgers has a pulse, they run away with it. And, Pudge, you're always welcome to crack open a mic. You don't have to write it down so I can read your handwriting.
But it is hard to argue about the NFC North.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm of the thought process that Aaron Rodgers gets benched. If you didn't hear my hot take yesterday, he is going to hit 37 years old wall hard, and he's going to need a couple months to get back in shape to wherever he gets traded to.
I think we need to come up with a penance for a failed hot take. We all have them. Every one of us throws out a hot take now and again. But when that hot take is proven false, we need to come up with something above and beyond the turnover chain, because if you want to walk out on the cliff, you're going to stand on the plank and say Aaron Rodgers is going to be benched in 3 weeks. You're going to have to stand firm. We're going to come up with something, a proper penance to pay for just trying to be controversial.
My thought is, if you're just going to have that take about Aaron Rodgers, he for a month is going to have to wear an Aaron Rodgers jersey.
Ooh, we got to get our local cheesehead Arnie to get me an Aaron Rodgers jersey. Then
there will be no green jerseys worn in the studio. No green jerseys, no yellow pants.
So Siberian Sneaks also adds Carl has to shave the beard if he misses a hot take.
That's the kind of thing. No, I don't want to have anybody hold back from a hot take for fear of suffering the repercussions of being wrong. But when you throw out a hand grenade like that, you have to be prepared to go jump on it.
Is shaving suffering, though?
Well, it's part of all of our looks, with the exception of Minix. Everybody at San Antonio Sports Star and Edwin, no, you're not either, I guess.
Yeah, but mine's on and off. I believe our picture on the website still has Rob without a beard.
I've had a beard since I started here. I have not shaved since. I had one bad edge up that I had to kind of start over.
That was fantastic.
But other than that, no, I don't trim my beard, man.
Hey, and we have one last question to get to from Facebook Live. Tony says, Rob, I want your Devontae Smith. Take a look at my team and let me know if you want to trade. Are you in a league that I don't know about?
I'm in a couple of leagues. Devontae Smith, huh?
What will it take to get a week 2 trade going? Are people already making trades?
Oh, but yeah,
I'm not trading my team unless it's a home run deal. It's like, are you drunk when you send this?
I got trade proposals for my number 1 pick.
I got to be honest.
Season started.
I didn't know I had Devontae Smith. I'm gonna have to dig into my leagues, but since I didn't know him, I think he's up on the block. So make me an offer, and you might very well get him. I didn't realize I had drafted Devontae. I think I got him late.
One of our Rock the Mic champs, Quinn Hudson, says, how about a take of shame that gets looped for drops for a week?
There is that. But I'm more about public humiliation. I'm more about standing in front of people and doing something to embarrass yourself. Maybe standing at a stoplight someplace holding a sign.
Not homeless, just had a bad football take.
Something like that. Or you have to sit and eat pancakes for something.
Can't leave the IHOP for 24 hours,
Something
but for
like,
every pancake, it takes an hour off how long you got to spend there.
My nephew had to do that. That's genius.
What about the fact that since we're going to be doing a whole lot more digital content, there's a video that we retweet every day of Carl going, "You're wrong. I was wrong. You were right. You're smart. I'm dumb."
I'm not saying it's just so far. Carl's not wrong.
Shame. The Game of Thrones. Shame. Bad take. Bad take.
We're not going to make you strip down and walk through the. But
HR would have a problem with that.
Yeah, they would. As we sit, Carl is not wrong. As we sit right now, Aaron Rodgers is 0-1 with a quarterback rating hovering around 30%.
Christopher Lewis even adds on Facebook that he's like, I stand firm with that take too, as he's talking about my take about Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't care about the Packers anymore. He's blanking on the fans. I can't say that word, but thank you for joining the conversation on Facebook Live. So go back to the question, Devontae Smith. You didn't even realize you had him. You're just kind
when
of
you're in 4 leagues. I got a lot of guys. I can't
do that. 4 leagues, I'd be like, okay, I need Julio Jones to play poorly here, but I need him to play well here. So
what I have learned to do over the 30 years I've played fantasy football is set your lineups and put it away.
I would
ruins your
only
day.
be in 4 leagues.
But if you're watching games only for your fantasy guys, that's a miserably long day. Just set your lineup and put it away. There's just not a whole lot to do.
See, if you're someone like me who is just on your phone, it's like, I got to check my fantasy team. It's been 10 minutes.
Don't, because you end up rooting for teams you hate. You end up hoping for things to happen that you don't want to happen in the grand scheme of life. So no, I've learned. Set your lineup, put it away, and just worry about the output
here's
later.
The worst part, because you'll be like, "Oh, I need Michael Thomas to go off now." Only in another league, if he goes off, you're going to lose in that one. So just set it and put it away. Rob is right.
So I'm going against the mystery team in the San Antonio Sports Star Fantasy League, the only fantasy league I'm in, and he has Jalen Hurts as his starter, and I'm an Eagles fan. Come on, everybody else on my team. I need Antonio Gibson to go off for 3 touchdowns tonight. Yeah, that's the funny thing about having money or any kind of financial investment on the game, because sometimes you have to cheer against your heart, but sometimes it's better to have your heart in one place and your financial investments in another, because if you lose on both, oh, you had a really bad weekend.
Yes, you do. You lose your. As an Aggie and a Cowboy, I've had a lot of bad Mondays. I've had a lot of lousy Mondays. And then in December, it is possible to lose not only both of your favorite football teams, but your favorite basketball teams as well. You can really have a bad weekend, and I've had more than my share.
Try being a Longhorn and a Texan fan over the past
Oh,
decade.
yeah, you can have some lousy Mondays.
Rudolph Renee says, hi, folks, on Facebook Live. You can join us there, too. The conversation continues if you're not in your car, either on Facebook Live, YouTube, or sasportstar.com. Frank Valdez says that he's in the Project Spurs Fantasy League, and he had the first bye. So, yeah, I guess if you have a bye week in an uneven league, that's what you do. That's why you don't get a bye week or an uneven
I've never
franchise.
heard of a fantasy bye week.
Yeah, well, if there's 11 teams, you can't go up against a three-way. That'd be cool if you did three-way.
If you've never heard of a fantasy bye week, you are the bye week.
I've never played in a league that had an odd number. Just go find somebody else. Make a fake team.
Frank Valdez says it has 15 teams in it. Man, you're drafting like fourth stringers by that point. Why have 15-team fantasy leagues?
Those guys are experts.
Man, that's crazy. Hey, we have to get the Ben Simmons rumor of the day, and his Instagram DMs leaked out. Oh, yes. You guys want to hear this?
Let's do it after the break.
Absolutely. This is San Antonio Sports Star. Thanks for spending your midday break with us on ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Saturday afternoons mean one thing: college football. Get games from all Power 5 conferences all season long, every Saturday from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
The Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers keep trading haymakers in their four-game series at Globe Life Park, with the Astros retaking the lead last night on a 7-2 victory. Kyle Tucker went 3 of 4 from the plate with 3 runs scored, a double, and a home run. It was a 3-home-run night for the Astros as Marwin Gonzalez and Jake Myers also added deep balls for the Astros lineup. For the Rangers, Kohei Arihara got the start and the loss on the mound, allowing 6 runs off 8 hits in 4 innings pitched. The Astros and the Rangers play their final game of the Silver Boot Series tonight, with the first pitch slated for 7:05. And in San Antonio baseball, the Missions fell to the Corpus Christi Hooks 4-0 last night in Game 2 of their 6-game series to end the season. Those are your baseball headlines. For San Antonio Sports Star, I'm Carl Schoening.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're going to get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Join now and get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BET-US.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Blake Stevens with San Antonio-based GPS of Texas. If you have commercial vehicles on the road, you're a target for personal injury lawyers. I mean, you're wearing a bullseye. Our system can protect you if there is an accident with proof of speed, video monitoring, even proof that your driver wasn't on his phone. Don't get hammered. Have real proof that you weren't at fault by installing our GPS camera tracking system. Call GPS of Texas at 210-587-7634 or gpsoftexas.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar, now opening at noon 7 days a week at all 4 area locations. Slackers is your home to 7 days a week happy hour, and they now start at noon every day. And by popular request, Slackers brings back their signature frozen drinks. Visit slackersbarssa.com for more info.
Guys, stop what you're doing. Give me a few seconds of your time and let me give you a piece of advice that will change your love life forever. Have you noticed you've been losing a little pep in your step? Has your lady friend asked you, is everything okay? Do you find yourself having trouble rising for the occasion? Do you stress out before that special moment and wonder, is it gonna work? Guys, I'm going to let you in on a big secret. You don't ever have to worry again. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula has you covered. Mojo is the 100% guaranteed male enhancement formula that guarantees lasting success, if you know what I mean. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula is safe, natural, and effective every single time, guaranteed. Mojo is available in a fast-acting spray and a quick-action capsule. Do yourself and her a favor and call Pure Line Nutrition in San Antonio today. They'll get you set up for success. Call 210-494-2210. That number again is 210-494-2210. Mojo Male Enhancement, only available at Pure Line Nutrition.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it, fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/joy to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/joy. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com. Or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
Who's ready to play some ball?
Friday nights under the lights. Don't miss the high school football game of the week. Powered by Hill Electric. This Friday on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
This is Keyshawn Johnson. San Antonio Sports Stars get you moving every morning. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It's halftime. Happy you guys spending your midday break with us here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5. If you're tuned into our frequencies, check us out on sasportsstar.com. While you're there, you should check out Pinkerton Barbecue's Pro Football Pick'em. We did it this morning on R&R in the morning, and it smells like a winner to me, Rob.
Yeah, win yourself some barbecue from Pinkerton's Barbecue every week. We collate, we educate, and then we dissipate the money. We'll see if we can get it all out there. I think I'm feeling comfortable this week.
It's not just Pinkerton's. You can also win gift cards
from Mellow Mushroom. Yeah, we were headed that direction. You got barbecue, you got mushroom, and you got a good pizza and a good pro football pick'em contest. Get there every week. We want you to enjoy a nice contest and eat a fine meal. And if you're out running around right now during halftime, drop off some food, man. I've been talking food all morning. I'm hungry. Kolaches are on my brain.
Somebody was able to hack it. Somebody got into Ben Simmons' DMs. They leaked.
Okay.
This comes from...
I've been hacked.
This comes from Basketball Forever, as Rudolph Renee says, no, not Ben. No, not Ben. We don't really have a Ben Simmons rumor of the day, but I found this humorous. They just posted his DMs, and I thought this one was actually pretty funny. First one's unread from Daryl Morey. It says, you realize Sacramento's in Cali too, right? Trying to convince him that, hey, you don't need to go to L.A. Come on now, Sacramento.
Sacramento, wants him. As a Philly fan, how would Buddy Hield look in a 76er uniform?
I would rather have De'Aaron Fox.
I agree.
Yeah, that
I
would
think you
be
might be able to get both.
Hey, maybe you get both. You got to match the salaries, and that's the main thing. In fact, Pledger sent me an article yesterday related to Ben Simmons, and it was the most lazy article of all time because it didn't really speculate anything. It just said plus salary cap filler because you got to match the salaries. And if they had done any research to their trades, there was only one player that actually fits the salaries that actually makes sense because they did the same thing with I think John Wall to the Clippers, and it said, this guy plus that guy plus salary filler, and it just doesn't work. You got to actually figure out who those salary fillers are. They're not going to randomly magically sign someone for $10 million and trade him. Kendall Jenner left him on red. What he got that I don't is what Ben Simmons sent out, and she didn't respond.
What does that mean? What did you just say? Left him on
red.
What does that mean?
She didn't respond, but she saw it. It says seen.
Basically, you see something, but you don't respond to said.
Is this a Instagram post?
Because no, this is DMs. DMs
or Instagram, Twitter, or whatever.
How do you know that?
You can tell when somebody sees it if they saw it, if they have that setting set up. And Kendall Jenner obviously dated Ben Simmons and then moved on to Devin Booker.
Winner.
Yeah. And I don't know if she's dating him anymore. She's always posting things on Instagram.
Were they
herself.
together at the
They were
Met?
together during the final, but no, not before the Met.
I have a feeling she was there. I don't know.
She was.
Okay.
She was alone from what I could see.
Ah, too bad.
Instagram models like, you really trying to hit me up? Man, whoever made this is being brutal to him. Joel Embiid. Sorry, bro. Wrong chat. I was talking about a different Ben. These are just funny. And then the best ones are these two, in my opinion. Ferrari Los Angeles. He sent a message to them. Any discount if I buy two?
That's real. This is real.
No, this is not real.
Okay.
This is a joke. I made that very clear from the beginning. Okay.
Obviously not.
We need to not clear enough. So none of this that you're just talking about is real.
No, the Ben Simmons rumor of the
left
day
and
is just
red?
a joke.
Oh, I thought somebody had really dug into his. Like,
No.
man, this dude's got to be more depressed than I thought. No wonder he needs to change his scenery.
My favorite, though, comes from the Shanghai Sharks that sent Ben a message saying, "You'd love it here. All the media's censored, LOL."
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's our rumor today. Is
there is no
I
rumor
honestly
left.
thought this was all real. That he had been ghosted by his girlfriend, that Embiid was calling him. Okay. All right.
But when it comes to a Ben Simmons rumor of the day, though, the last thing we heard was that Philly is going to make him show up and play because they can't get equal value for him. And that feels extremely real. Do you think Ben Simmons would actually forego the money that would be owed to him and try and go the James Harden route where he comes in and does the bare minimum to try and help facilitate his exit out of town as hastily as possible? Or the fact that eventually he just comes back into the fold and tries to raise his own trade value?
If I'm Daryl Morey and I'm Doc Rivers, the only way he is in the building, he is in camp, is if I know, and I have told him flat out, we are not going to trade you now. There is no offer on the table worth it. That's the only. If it's close, don't come. If it's close, don't be here. But if there's no way I'm moving you until at the earliest, the trade deadline, he'll be in camp. But if I feel like I'm still taking offers, I can't. It's not good for the Sixers. It's not good for Ben Simmons to be there. So I think if he shows up, they've had a come to Jesus, a heart to heart going, look, dude, we tried. Our asking price has not changed. We believe you're a superstar, and we're going to ask for superstar value. And until then, you're a Sixer. I think if he walks in, he's there for the duration. And if he doesn't, the deal is imminent.
That's your Ben Simmons rumor of the day. We're just having a little fun. We love Ben. I would love it if he wore a Spurs jersey. I want him on my team. So whether that's the Spurs or the 76ers, Ben, please go back to Philly. Learn how to hit a jump shot and play with Play nice with those guys when you come back. No more of this media war. But that's it for basketball for now. We got Cowboys talk. We're going to have Carl's Tech Talk, a new Thursday 1:30 segment. Apple had a whole big day Thursday, but they didn't reveal the rumored stuff that I want to check out and you want to know about as well as the delayed games. They're all a part of the Cyberpunk 2077 effect. And, of course, we have Carl's Countdown coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks for spending your midday break with us. This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250. 94.5 FM.
Didn't catch R&R in the morning?
Here's what you missed. The storyline of Kanye is entertaining.
I'm telling you, and bless his heart. I say that both.
You sound like a country dude. Like, that's all country folks say, bless his heart.
I know that he's got some medical issues that he doesn't tend to.
That's another country word, tend to. Well, that's country. It don't get no more country than tend to.
Rob Thompson, Rudy J. Weekday morning 7 to 10 on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
I need tech that can make me as productive in my home office as I am at my office.
It's possible with Staples Connect.
How about a PC that'll help me get the most out of my day and my budget?
Staples Connect makes it possible with the tools you need to work from anywhere. And now get up to $200 off select PCs, like the Lenovo IdeaPad 5i with Intel i5 processor. Explore what's new at your local Staples or staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. Ends 9/18. In-store only, limit 2.
Here in Texas, the heat is relentless. The storms are serious. The hail is insane. Texas weather doesn't do anything halfway. And neither should your roofer. Your roof protects your home and your family. So whether you need a simple repair or a roof replacement, metal or composition, you need a roofer you can trust. That's Stevens Roofing. They are reputable, reliable, and have always been your local roofer. Call Stevens Roofing today for a free estimate at 210-785-0994 or go to stevensroofing.net.
Your safety and full satisfaction is My Collision Center's top priority, using only original, not aftermarket parts at no extra cost to you. If you have an accident and you want direct factory parts at no extra cost to you, choose My Collision Center. Visit mycollisioncenters.com.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. Been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 800-990-6271 for as little as only $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 800-990-6271 and ask about our express shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on the little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. Again, 800-990-6271 now. That's 800-990-6271.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents
and Doug. And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb.
All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The pitch is moving up a day.
Antonio's animation studio needs a 3D designer today.
What are we going to do?
Someone who's as artistic as they are organized.
How are we going to get all this done? What about the production schedule?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Screen for quality candidates with the skills your role needs with Indeed assessments. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it, fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to forhims.com/radio to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to forhims.com/radio. forhims.com/radio.
Texas Cheer Liquor, your one-stop shop for beer, liquor, wine, and cigars. Follow them on Facebook to keep up with specials and tastings. 4 locations, 2 on Petranco, 1 past 211, 1 in 90 in Montgomery, and the all-new Texas Cheer Liquor next to Walmart Palo Alto Road, Suite 101.
This is the home of the Cowboys, Rangers, and Aggie football. KCDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Rob Thompson, Carl Schoening. Halftime.
It's halftime. Half 2 of halftime here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Carl Schoening. He's Rob Thompson. James Pledger joining us in studio as Edwin runs the board. So if you're watching us on sasportstar.com, Facebook Live, YouTube, you'll see that Edwin is not James Pledger.
It's like his photo negative. Like color scale, one side to the other.
So we also...
I am sitting directly in front of him, so it's kind of...
Got the yin and the yang going on here.
If you know how to do it, a fun thing for you to handle, Edwin, is could you put the background of halftime? It's under backgrounds on the StreamYard because right now it's just a black background. I kind of like the fantastic work. I need to find out who did our StreamYard stuff because it's really good editing.
Wasn't it James?
No, that came from corporate.
Corporate is some talented people. I wish I could. Anytime I do Photoshop, I know my way around it, but kind of looks like maybe a 12-year-old did it with a crown. But
what?
A crown?
A crown?
Yeah.
What's that? What's a crown? Is that thing you put on your head?
A crayon?
Is that crayon?
Is that how you say it? A crayon? Crayon? What
language are you speaking?
What? How do you? The thing that you use to
crayon.
draw a crayon?
It's a crayon, not a crown.
A crayon.
Crayon.
What is this aeon?
I have no idea. I thought it was a crown.
No, it's crayon.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Crayon.
I have not used one in a while. Crayon.
We've stumbled into the nebulous area.
Oh my goodness!
Crayon.
This is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Are you going to make this a promo now? Am I never going to live this
down?
down?
If you were going to open a coloring book, what would you grab to color with?
A crown.
A crown?
If you were going to place something on top of Queen Elizabeth's head, what would it be?
A crown.
It's the exact same word.
Feels very, very similar.
Pretty sure it's the same word. Wrestling, as Frank Valdez says on Facebook.
Well, wrestling, that's American.
Wrestling.
Wrestling's American. Crowns
damn right.
are for coloring.
Crowns, man. All right. Hey, Dallas plays an important game this weekend. And hey, there you go. Good job, Edwin. I see that you got the background up. I appreciate that. That's the same thing that's our foreground when we're during the breaks, if you want to see what it looks like. But we got a good matchup here as the Cowboys have had a rough week. Randy Gregory gets hit with the COVID. So he needs to register negative tests ASAP, but he seems doubtful for the trip to L.A. And now here's my question. Does he have to test negative before they travel, or can he come on a private jet if he's ready to go game day? And I just don't know how that works for road games, because if he's able to test negative game day, he obviously has the ability to drive from his house. But I wonder how it works when you're traveling.
I think they'd have to test negative on Saturday. I can't imagine a way where they test negative Sunday morning and they put him on a jet to fly out there. I guess it's possible. We thought that there was a potential for Zach Martin to play. We assumed that he was symptom-free, and Zach wasn't. He was dealing with a couple of symptoms, though not ill. We don't know if Randy Gregory is in the same position. We just have to hope for a couple of negative tests. But that does have the question. First of all, losing your best defensive player, your bell cow, certainly kind of changes their perspective in the middle of the week as they put game plans in. Yesterday, we had a chance to hear from head coach Mike McCarthy on losing D-Law for the weekend. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I mean, it's obviously, losing DeMarcus. I mean, he's a primetime player for us. I thought he had a nice start in Tampa. And, you hate to see these injuries to any of your guys, but, what it does, it just gives, opportunities to the other players. So, how we spread that out, that'll be done through game plan, and we'll work on that today, tomorrow, and Saturday. So, and, specifically, we'll get into that once we play the game.
It's a tough blow whenever you lose somebody like DeMarcus Lawrence. And how do you replace somebody like that?
Well, that's the answer. That's the question. And then, so, first of all, the tough week. This has been such a drama-free offseason. Everything other than the minor shoulder thing, which in hindsight was so remarkably minor for Dak Prescott. But, other than that, there has been no news of injury or holdout or anything like that other than your typical. So in 1 week, you lose your best offensive lineman as you're preparing to go against a Super Bowl champion defense. You acquit yourself well enough to say you acquitted well, but you don't get the win. You come back home with the expectation of him returning, and you lose your defensive end and D-Law to 6 weeks of work, and then your defensive tackle and end and Randy Gregory out. That puts them in a very difficult situation.
And we didn't even mention Lyle Collins or Michael Gallup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we haven't begun to talk about the offensive side of the ball. So, yes, suddenly the Cowboys are back to what the Cowboys have always been, in the middle of drama, in the middle of questions, and here we sit. So what are the Dallas Cowboys going to do, and what are the expectations for D-Law after he's out? When Mike McCarthy continued to speak on that is, first of all, what are the expectations of what he's going to get done coming up in the next 6 weeks, if that's how long D-Law is actually out?
Played in Tampa. No one really played above 40 reps. Well, I think as you saw throughout training camp, I thought we've done a really good job working all those guys, throughout the rotation. And you look at just the way we played in Tampa. No one really played above 40 reps, with the guys, and that's really how we want to approach each and every week. How it shakes out. I mean, obviously, Dorrance has done an excellent job. Basham's back. He had some time off there in training camp, and you have the young guys, Bradley and Kamara. So we'll just continue to work the rotation, and there's some game plan situational things that we'll do also.
Next man up.
Absolutely, and that's what this league is, because at some point at any given position, you're going to be dealing with an injury that might be half the season. It might be the whole year.
The potential backups to D-Law, he talked about Basham having some time. We also saw a fair amount of the rookie Azura Kamara as he went through the hard knocks. Osa, I'm going to get his name eventually. Odigizua, which is fun to say, and Dorrance Armstrong as well. It's going to have to be by committee, but even by committee, what's the best expectation here?
And you're also getting possibly Chauncey Goldston back.
We're hoping. Is that's
he mentioned his return in the press conference as well. So,
what's the strongest part of the defense in your mind? What is the one room? Linebackers, right? And there's about 8 of them. And if we include Malik Hooker, we might actually have 9 of them. There's lots of big dudes, not defensive linemen. This is where Dan Quinn's going to have to make his money. He brings an attacking style of defense that we thought, maybe will increase the blitzing, will increase the pressure on the quarterback to kind of protect some of the younger corner. This is where we're going to see it. The expectation is they're going to have to show a lot of looks. He talked about scheming away from the loss of DeMarcus, so we're going to see probably some very strange-looking defensive lines, maybe only 2 or 3 guys on the line. Lots of linebackers running around and trying to just speed up the rhythm that Justin Herbert's going to try to build with the Chargers. Get him out of whack, get him out of rhythm, and see if you can disjoint him. But they're going to have to turn the ball over. They're going to have to, if this defense is what I expect them to see, I think Austin Eckler is going to run for 100 yards. I do. I think that they're going to see that and go, we're going to go right up the middle on this. So the Cowboys not only going to have to score 35 points, but they're going to have to turn the ball over a couple times to keep themselves in a competitive place at least into the fourth quarter.
The one thing that I do at least have some confidence in when it comes to the Cowboys' ability to generate a pass rush, it's finding a way to get Micah Parsons after the quarterback. He is a game wrecker. We've seen it
Absolutely
through the preseason and through that first game even. He finds a way to get into the backfield and at least cause pressure. And Micah Parsons, I think, is going to be a big part of the Cowboys' pressure personnel.
They're going to run a lot of blitz packages with him involved, I'm sure, as that would seem to be the key. But can they repeat the 3 turnover performance against Tampa? That is going to need to happen, because obviously how much pressure you can send the entire evening before second-year player Justin Herbert figures it out. And like you said, are there going to be times where they only send 2, maybe 3 guys and drop 1 guy back in coverage?
I think we're going to see a lot of heavy nickel and dime. But there is one other thing that can be done to protect that pass rush, and that is to keep the ball on offense. That is to keep the other team's offense off. And how do you run the clock? You run the ball. We've talked ad nauseum over the last week about Zeke's lack of carries. We blamed Kellen Moore and McCarthy for this Green Bay Packer offense that's only quarterback-centric. Well, we come to find out on Monday that Dak actually audibled out of at least 12 rushes, maybe 18. Zeke is going to have to perform. And when we think about what Zeke does when he performs, you start thinking about the Dallas Cowboys' successful games. Because when Zeke carries it and Zeke gets 100 yards, the outlook changes for a lot of reasons.
And Pledger went down a rabbit hole of Pro Football Reference to get us the stats that he's about to read to you right now, because if it came out of my mouth, it would obviously be secondhand. But James, what'd you find?
Yeah, well, I wanted to take a deep dive into these stats because I do believe, and I have for a long time, that Zeke is kind of the catalyst of what this offense is. It's not to take away from what Dak does. I do believe that Dak is an extremely successful quarterback, and I've eaten that L a long time ago because I thought that, Dak was a so-so to okay quarterback. I now firmly put him in the top 7 quarterbacks in all of the NFL, and that's unarguable. So I just wanted to go down because it feels like when the Cowboys lose, they forget that the run game even exists. Like 4 carries in the first half for Zeke. So I wanted to go and find out what the Cowboys record was when Zeke goes for over 100 yards. 26-4. But it's not just about the yards, because you can get a lot of yards on few carries. To me, it's about the volume of carries, because that sets things up for later in the game. And even in these losses, when they're 28-8, when Zeke carries the ball over 20 times, 28-8 when he gets over 20 carries.
That's the stat that jumped out. The 100 yards is great. 100 yards is that
but there's a lot of 90 and 80
right.
and different games. It's more about the volume than it is the finished product of it. And then after doing that, I started to notice another trend. So I went down a further rabbit hole of what happens like on Thursday when Zeke has under 15 rushing attempts. The Cowboys are 2-7, and those 2 wins were games where Zeke had 80 to 100 yards and they were blowout wins. So like the 2 wins are the aberration because he accumulated all his yards and then just left the field early. So that was the aberration. Now, when Dak throws for over 400 yards, which is kind of a barometer now in the NFL for quarterbacks, Dak's just 5-4. But the more telling stat is when he has over 45 pass attempts like he did on Thursday, which obviously eats into whether Zeke's getting carries or not. They're 3-9 in those games where he has over 45 pass attempts. And I'll tell you what, looking at those games, only like one of them was a blowout. They're close games. They just abandoned the run.
When you can't get to the quarterback, you got to hold on to the ball. The offense that the Cowboys offered is explosive, but it was explosive in the wrong ways. The first 4 games of last year with Dak was explosive in the wrong ways, mostly last year because they were behind all the time and you had to throw 45 times or better. I look at 20 carries at 28-8, and I see 5-4 when Dak throws for over 400 yards. I think that's enough to kind of lean in on the quarterback meeting, lean in with Kellen Moore, and start to focus a little bit more on the run game. And you wonder why Zeke was so adamant about Zach Martin needs to stay guard.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Martin needs to be there because when he's there, that's the guy I'm running behind. And when I run behind him 20 times, we win. Now, again, you can pull out a number, a stat, and find a reason behind it. But I don't think there's any disputing here that for the Cowboys to be successful, especially dealing with what they're dealing with now on both the offensive line and the defensive line, maintaining control of the ball. I want to go deeper in that. And it's yards per carry isn't that important, but I'm really curious when he does go for 20 carries or plus more. I wonder what his average yard per carry is. I bet it starts at 3, and by the end of the game, it's 4.5 to 5.
I would imagine so, because it's more, and a lot of these stats date back to, which is why Zeke's heavy influence in the wins and stuff dates back to
rookie year.
Well, not just his rookie,
Dak's
but
rookie
his
year.
first few years. It's both their rookie years.
Mm-hmm.
But it dates back to Jason Garrett and his philosophy and how they won games, where these 400-yard, because obviously there are fewer of these 400 yards and 45 pass attempt games. These are more about Kellen Moore's offense and when he started to get his hands into the offensive game plan. And you notice that the barometer tend to be when Kellen started to take over as play caller and offensive coordinator, the offensive philosophy shift. And the shift was away from Zeke and getting as many touches as he could. But by doing so, there was also a shift in the Cowboys' record, which they were very successful running the football with Zeke, and they have been more sporadic in the wins and losses category than they were with the consistency that it felt under the Jason Garrett years, but at least the Jason Garrett years that involve Zeke and Dak together.
20 carries, they're 28-8. I think that's the number I will be watching on Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, Dallas Cowboys brought to you by AA Best Bounds. Get going on Sunday. We got your pregame 2:30, kickoff at 3:25. Make sure you are dialed in and ready for Dallas Cowboys football, brought to you by Ewalk Kubota. That is one fine tractor. Let's get you caught up on all the headlines. Carl's got it compiled. All you got to do is listen. What do you got, Carl?
Carl's Countdown.
Headline 2, San Jose Sharks. Evander Kane thinks he'll be cleared by the NHL. For those of you that are unaware, he was the one who had a girlfriend of his, a side chick, post a picture, and then his wife went off on his Instagram alleging that he bet on NHL games. So he, despite his legal counsel, has been very vocal that he did not do it, and it seems like he'll be back next year.
Well, you get accused of something that could not only end your career but turn your name to mud. You better step forward and fight it. This he said, she stuff. That's a mess.
That is a mess. Yeah.
Moving along from that poor guy. That was a lie. Yikes.
Well, it's not just that. It's the negative repercussion it could have on the entire sport in the NHL when you're talking about gambling on games. Look at the black eye it gave the NBA when we got the Tim Donaghy scandal.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget about the Pete Rose scandal in baseball and the Chicago Black Sox.
Many others.
Joe. Yeah, that's how that goes. All right, headline 1. Baltimore Ravens promote veteran running back Devontae Freeman to the active roster. And guess who just picked him up in the San Antonio Sports Star League?
Devontae, I think you got him.
I did, yes.
They already got their back. They got former Saint.
Latavius Murray.
Latavius, that's all they're going to use.
He's going to be the one, along with Jason Williams, that's going to get the bulk of the carries.
Le'Veon Bell's still around there? Are they still holding on to him?
He's still in the practice squad.
Well, we'll see. The way running backs are dropping like flies over there in Baltimore, I just figure I'm not pulling for anybody to get injured, but that's why you pick up backups.
No, Devontae runs hard for about 8 yards, but I don't think he's capable of running any longer than that. He runs hard. I always enjoyed watching him at Atlanta, and every now and then he busts out with a 125-yard game, something like that. But for the most part, he'll run hard for about 8 yards and go down. One way or the other.
I picked up a couple stash running backs, and he's now the second one. But I have Michael Smith on my roster, and he's really a stash player. So, yeah, we'll have to see when he actually hits the field.
Hidden.
Yeah, that's how that goes. All right, and headline 0. The Buffalo Sabres to face the Toronto Maple Leafs outdoors in the Heritage Classic.
Is that the outdoor game?
Yeah.
And where are they doing it this year? Do we know?
Let me see real quick, as
Miami?
this one will be played at Tim Hortons Field, home of the Canadian Football League's Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Anybody who's eating some Tim Hortons, what's they famous for?
Poutine?
Is it poutine? I love this. Hockey really began it, taking it outside. We've seen baseball now, build it and they will come. Now it's time for basketball. We saw something earlier this week where the NBA is looking at the opportunity, the possibility of finding a legendary court and playing a basketball game. We've seen college teams play on aircraft carriers. I've seen them play in aircraft hangars in Europe. It can be done. There is only one place to do it, though, and that is the Rucker. There's
Two
only
places.
no, it's the Rucker. You could talk California, we could talk Santa Monica, but there is only one birthplace, and it's the Rucker uptown in Harlem. That's it.
I thought hard about this, and I cannot think of a second place.
There's
really.
not. I mean, there's some.
It's Venice Beach.
Well,
you can do Venice Beach.
No, it is
It would
not.
be fantastic.
It is not the origins of the game. Maybe the second when you head to Venice Beach, a little bit
Sure.
more room there. But if they have to, the pictures for those that like. Carl and I are basketball aficionados, historians even. And you think about what the Entertainers League is what it ended up being, but there are a variety of these summer leagues that happened up at Holcomb Rucker Park in Harlem that are legendary. There is one place to do it, and I can't imagine how the NBA could do it any better than put it around there. It would be a beautiful thing to see.
I'm not saying Rutgers not the place you do it first, because that is the origins of street ball and basketball. I'm saying there is another place I can think of outside of Rucker for after they hold it at Rucker a second year, and that is at Venice Beach down in California. You think about doing that, the aesthetics when the sun's coming down over the ocean as you're on the beach, it would look fantastic.
But it feels like it was pulled from White Men Can't Jump.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that has
exactly.
nothing to do with the league. I mean, it was, I'm not going to argue. In fact, I'd like to see them travel around. But if they don't start it and promote it at Rucker Park, then what's the point?
The last time I remember this happening was a preseason game at a tennis court in Arizona. And that's really the only time you can do it is a preseason game, because no owner's going to say, yeah, you can have one of our games. I think they're more likely to start doing more international games like the Mexico City games than an outdoor one. I know the NBA said they're exploring the options, but I just don't see how you can actually pull this off.
Why not?
Outdoor. An outdoor game just doesn't seem fair to these pro athletes that are used to playing inside in arenas and have things to work with that are not blacktops.
Well, no, you can lay a wood floor down. You don't have to play on a hard court. You can put a wood court down and just got to make sure you're doing it when the humidity is low.
That's true.
But you can play outside, and you're both playing outside. I think this is something worthy. The problem being the time that the NBA plays. You're going to have to do it really early in the season or really late, because ain't nobody wants to hang around in Harlem in the middle of January. It's going to be a little cold out there.
That's a good point, too.
Are you saying hockey players are used to playing outdoors and not in arenas consistently, game in and game out? It's a one-off.
I will agree with him here, because at least in hockey, the ball, the puck stays on the ice, and wind is rarely going to be an issue. You do, when you play outside, have to learn to play with the sun in your eyes, the Kentucky windage. There is an outdoor skill set that's very different that I think you would have to worry about. But it is something that I'm sure the NBA is going to do.
The constant honking of New York City while you're at a free throw line, somebody starts yelling curses at the guy next to him.
As many of these players as I see playing at Rucker Park in the offseason, I don't think it should be an issue for them.
As long as their contract allows, and I'm sure it does.
I don't think, that's the other thing about this newer generation. There aren't that many people that any more players that go out there to Rucker, maybe every now and again. I can't say that I've seen that as frequently as it used to be.
Well, the Entertainers Classic is still a thing. You'll still see some international pros that'll come and play, but the big stars, no, they're not going to do that anymore. But I'll take it even one step farther, Carl. I think that for the last 15, 20 years, playing outside, even for young kids that we all grew up playing on your neighborhood court, now it's all being spent on AAU courts and indoors and practicing and all of that. So there is a part of the outdoor game that is slowly dying.
Absolutely. Because nowadays there's so many gyms. That's a good thing about the game being widespread. And yeah, I'd like to see it if the NBA did something like this Heritage Classic. Yeah, speak it into existence.
I'm gonna push it. It needs to. We've seen it. It's a gorgeous thing in baseball.
I'll send a Facebook message to Adam Silver. We're friends on Facebook.
And you've got the perfect cities and teams to do this. You can have New York and Brooklyn play each other at Rucker. You can have the Clippers and Lakers play each other at Venice Beach. I mean, it's built into itself. You can have the teams within those cities do those cool little games like that.
It'd be cool for preseason. I don't think that we'll see it in a regular season.
I wouldn't argue that. I agree with that
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, that's what it says. Rudolph Renee says they've played basketball on an aircraft carriers at sea. That's right. The NCAA does start that. And
they had to call that game, though, because the condensation on the court. I don't think they finished that game.
It's Michigan State, North Carolina, right?
I think it was one of the tip-off early games, and they started the game, but the court got so wet they called it.
Hey, this was a bad idea. Our fault. All right. Hey, we got a new segment that we're going to be introducing. We kind of teased it on Tuesday, but now we're going to make it a regular thing. It's Thursday's Tech Talk. Here, 1:30 every Thursday on Halftime at San Antonio Sports Star. Obviously, we're going to touch on a couple things that Apple did, but what they didn't do is what I really want to dive into. And there was a rocket that went up into space and will be orbiting the Earth for 3 days, as well as some delayed 2021 video games. We're going to have to wait a little longer for some of the most anticipated titles. We'll talk about it here on Halftime. This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hey, sports bettors, it's Rob Thompson. I want to tell you about my favorite sports book. That's BetUS. Football tonight, football all weekend long. If you're not in on the action, how much fun can you actually be having? I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS. You may ask me why. I'm going to tell you either way. It's because BetUS has been America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. You need a sports book with integrity. You need it with longevity. And if you've got the integrity, the longevity follows. And integrity, well, that includes getting paid. When you're with BetUS, you know that you're going to get paid on time. You need a sports book that offers everything you want to play with. That's live betting, MMA, golf, horses, esports, all the great prop bets. Call them today. It's so easy to sign up. It's 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US. It won't take you more than a couple of minutes. They'll walk you through the process. And the great thing about being on the phone with them is all you got to do is mention KZDC, that's us here at the San Antonio Sports Star, and you'll get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Let me tell you, nobody beats that. You might be with another service. You might be on another app. You owe it to yourself to go call 1-800-79-BET-US, get yourself signed up, mention KZDC, and use that 200% bonus. You'll see what I'm talking about. Join BetUS today. Start betting with BetUS today. They're America's favorite sports book. That's BetUS.com. Enter KZDC, BetUS.com, where the game begins.
Football in America is a special game, a unique game played like nowhere else on earth. It's a rare game, and the men that play it make it so. Prescott, Elliott, Cooper, and Coach Mike McCarthy. And today, these men walk the gridiron with one thing in common, with one mission between them. Winning. The Dallas Cowboys play here on the home of the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Rudy J here, and I want to tell you about Manrique Custom Vision. Dr. Manrique has performed over 58,000 laser vision corrections, and he's the only Z-LASIK trainer in the area. He treats nearsightedness, farsightedness, and even astigmatism. And all procedures are blade-free and pain-free, and they just take seconds per eye. Get the vision you deserve without glasses and contacts. Call 354-2020 today to get the Manrique difference. Don't compromise your only set of eyes. Call 354-2020 today.
Hi, welcome to Smoky Moe's.
At Smoky Moe's Barbecue, we smoke our meats fresh, in-house, each and every day. We think it makes all the difference in the quality of our moist, flavorful brisket and turkey, and the mouth-watering tenderness of our ribs and pork loin. Got a crowd? We've got group packs and full-service catering. Up early? We've got made-to-order breakfast tacos. Find your store at SmokyMoe'sBarbecue.com and come see us for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Smoky Moe's Barbecue. The pit is lit. Your source to local news and sports in San Antonio begins with the San Antonio Express News. We've collected, written, and shown the stories that matter most to San Antonio. Look no further than the San Antonio Express News to continue to provide information and strength to the community. Whether it's on the field or on a court, we provide the ground local coverage. Go to expressnews.com for the most up-to-date high school and college sports coverage. Subscribe today at expressnews.com.
Panera believes in saying yes. Yes to clean, fresh ingredients. Yes to the new chicken sausage and pepperoni flatbread topped with rich mozzarella. Yes to delicious mac and cheese. Yes to putting it on a sandwich, creating the grilled mac and cheese sandwich. And yes to impromptu road trips to Sandwich, Illinois. Because that's living life to the flavor fullest. Stop into your local Panera Cafe today or order on our app. Panera. Live your yes. Pricing and product availability may vary. Visit PaneraBread.com.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Here in Texas, the heat is relentless. The storms are serious. And the hail is insane. Texas weather doesn't do anything halfway. And neither should your roofer. Your roof protects your home and your family. So whether you need a simple repair or a roof replacement, metal or composition, you need a roofer you can trust. That's Stevens Roofing. They are reputable, reliable, and have always been your local roofer. Call Stevens Roofing today for a free estimate at 210-785-0994 or go to stevensroofing.net.
Diamonds Direct's most incredible offer ever is going on now. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase with no money down. How about that $5,000 designer ring for less than $85 a month? It's smart, it's easy, it's unheard of. You can even finance 100% of the purchase price. How about a $3,000 pair of earrings, just $50 a month? Fine jewelry has never been more affordable. But hurry, this is a limited time offer. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit, only at Diamonds Direct at the shops at La Cantera.
Drawing up the game plan for the second half of the day. It's halftime with Rob Thompson and Carl Schoening on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It's halftime. Happy y'all spent your midday break with us here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Carl Schoening, along with Rob Thompson. Oh, was that just like a hiccup or something? Yeah. James Pudger chilling with us here in studio. You can hear him laughing. Edwin running the show.
Get up early tomorrow. R&R will have Coach Mike McCarthy, your Dallas Cowboy head football coach, going to join us live at 6:45 in the blessed AM. Listen in the car. We'll have pointed questions, interesting conversation, and taco talk with Mike McCarthy.
Oh, that's right. You got the tacos set up. He's going to love y'all even more. He doesn't miss that interview
We
with
got
y'all.
food headed his direction. Maybe he'll be fat, full, and happy, and maybe tell us some secrets. But tomorrow, 6:45, it'll be going on all season long. R&R in the morning, all three of us, Rudy, myself, and Carl, we'll have Coach McCarthy on. We're excited about it.
I think he'll tell you who's starting at right tackle.
You know what? We will press him on that. We'll also talk about scheming around the loss of 2 defensive linemen. So we started talking tech a couple of days ago. Apple had their annual September, October debut of their new phones, their new equipment, and Carl dove right in, and I learned a lot. So what do we got going on today with our tech talk?
So, yeah, everybody was talking about the iPhone 13 and the new Apple Watch stealing the show. But the thing that really kind of impressed people most is that they're reimagining the iPad mini. And I know a lot of people who are in the market for tablets. So there seems to be a renewed dedication to the iPad mini. However, what didn't get announced that I'm still waiting on, because I get the feeling that the reason they held back on anything Mac related, no MacBooks, no MacBook Air, no MacBook Pro, no new Mac computer, is because they wanted to push those more consumer, regularly used products there, and the watch and the phone. And obviously, all of the big big phone companies are going to give you your deal. So if you're interested in upgrading, those are out there. But man, some of the specs on the new rumored Apple tech, because rumors leak out and they do that on their own just to see what people might be interested in. Read comments. They read it whether or not you think they do. The new MacBook Pro M1X chip is what really catches my eye, because Apple developed their own chip. They've been running on Intel for the longest time, but this is supposed to be their big thing. The M1 chip that came out in 2020 was really popular. It's silicone based, and it's something that makes video editing for affordable computers that are not like $2,000+ these are, starting under $2,000, has made video editing a breeze. And I have a camera that records Apple ProRes RAW, which is a very large file with a whole lot of information. It goes up to 12-bit, which is a lot of colors. But I can't edit it on my computer. My computer is not powerful enough to deal with the data file sizes. So that's why I want an M1 chip, and I was very bummed out that they did not announce it. But they do seem to have something that might be coming up as soon as October 5th, maybe even the week before, where they're going to announce that. But the really interesting one that I'm not going to buy, but I like to see the advancement on, is Apple's going to come out with a VR headset where they say, according to rumors on Digital Trends, I read this, they're going to have 3,000 pixels per inch on these VR headset, and they're going to cost about that $3,000. So the one thing about the VR headsets that I've checked out is that the resolution could be better. And this seems to be the issue right there, is they're going to cram in a whole bunch of pixels into these VR headsets.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. I've put on the VR headset. I've got a family member that's got one. It's fun to watch a basketball game. What is the long-term use of a VR headset other than just sitting and looking or acting like you're in the jungle? I mean, is there an application that Apple sees with this other than just what? I don't know where VR headsets are going.
Immersive way to watch movies, play video games, and just have new forms of entertainment. There's
what new forms? You can tell me to watch a movie, so I'm the only one, or I got to buy 4 of these $4,000 headsets.
Adventures, there's experiences. I know Star Wars has really invested a lot into VR adventures where you basically get to play a character and almost see through the.
So there's no practical application coming with this. This is only for gaming and only for watching basketball.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have seen it be used for classroom settings.
Okay.
Where you're basically in a lecture and you're watching the teacher present. You don't need the $3,000 headsets for that. But as remote learning becomes more and more of a big deal, I guess that's one of the ways. But I don't know. That takes away from the actual fun of being in a classroom.
Well, I'm just trying to find, where are they going to make any money?
There's what is
there? Yeah, is there a practical application? Because the one that I don't know the brand that's out now, Oculus,
the Oculus, Facebook one.
And so there's one. It's not just Facebook. The one that I'm talking about has been around a couple of 3 years. Every now and then there's an NBA broadcast. You can slap the headset on and watch.
It's the Oculus.
And you can walk through the jungle when you've got it on there. But for this to be a true money maker for Apple, it's going to have a practical application, and I've yet to see a reason to go get it.
And it's sports. And as a play-by-play guy, that is the next thing that I want to do.
I could see for a play-by-play type to actually be able to be kind of down on the field and talk about what you're seeing. I think that's pretty intense.
Yeah, and as a fan who will watch a 2.5 hour basketball game sitting in mid-court, that's a really cool thing.
Dude, it gave me
issue, though,
seasick.
with that
I was.
you know you're wearing it. It's the weight of it. So you don't want to wear it for 2.5 hours to watch a basketball game.
And that's the next trick here is if Apple can make it something that doesn't make my neck hurt from wearing it. And Siberian Sneaks tunes in. Even though I like Apple products, yes, I am a green bubble Android loving savage.
Savage. I appreciate that.
Way to go, green bubble guy.
Yeah, that's
Now,
what it is.
with this MX1 chip, is there any fear because of the new technology and Apple trying to kind of create their own chip from the Intel chip that this could go sideways kind of the way Cyberpunk did? Because Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to revolutionize the gameplay industry, and there were so many bugs within it that it never got its second chance.
See, I actually thoroughly enjoyed Cyberpunk, but to go back to your point, the M1 chip that came out in 2020 is the first of its generation, and that's why I'm very interested in the M1X chip, because now everything that they've learned from that first version of it will be fixed in this M1X. And really, I was looking into it, maybe getting a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, and that's where I'm gonna maybe save my investment for, and it would strictly be for video editing. And apparently the touchpad is not a popular thing, so they're going to remove the touchpad according to rumors. But yeah, Cyberpunk, that's a nice transition there. It's got a lot of people scared. But we talked about the MacBook. We were going to move on to video games. And the first one that I saw is Katie from KTSA got mad on Twitter about today. GTA 5 for the PS5 got pushed back at least another month. They were going to port it over and make a super next-gen edition of it. We've been playing the same game for 8 years now, people. It's still a great game, but they're going to re-release it for its 11th time on the PS5.
Here's the thing. Much like Cyberpunk, push it back, get it right. Don't pre-release it and try and rush out with an unfinished product, because the gamers will destroy it and they won't go back.
You know, there was a time when you could push it out early and let the gamers be your beta. Go ahead and find the problems, and we'll go back and we'll keep a staff of programmers to fix the glitches that the fans found. You can't get away with that anymore. You have to have a finished product done on the market, and any kind of collapse, any kind of issue is heightened through socials, and your sales can drop overnight.
And they still beta test games but
I'm talking about that was the standard beta.
If you release it, there's no going back after a full-scale release. Like with a beta, you can at least clean things up. Once you full-scale release something and then the issues start to pop up, that game is doomed.
Absolutely. And, you know, the other part of this is COVID has really hit hard in the video game industry, because they are going to have to delay some games. Some notable ones also from Digital Trends. Outriders, it's having a tough time locking down a release date. It was originally positioned as a game that would launch with the next gen in late 2020, but they've been pushing it back. February 2nd is now the new date.
Wow.
And now they're
the lead, or are you just trying
no,
to
well, they're missing
build
Christmas.
to it?
I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's the big deal. Returnal is another one that has a lot of people excited. It looks like it's a space game, as I'm always into the space games. And this is one that was supposed to come out with games like Ratchet and Clank and Forbidden Horizon Forbidden West, but now it's looking at a March 19th release date, and that might even get pushed back a little bit more, as Sony delayed it to April 30th, according to rumors. And then I don't have it here. Dying Light 2. That was another one that was supposed to come out for Christmas, to your point, Rob, and it will not come out for Christmas, unfortunately, as I was excited about a zombie game, open world, that looked like it was going to be one that I was interested. Far Cry 6 is another one that keeps getting pushed back.
You're burying the lead.
What's the lead?
The release this past week of 2 Insomniac games. The new Spider-Man that's going to have Kraven the Hunter, both Miles Morales and Peter Parker, as well as Venom in it.
They called it 2023, but yes, that is worthy of being included in video game news.
Huge tease that they released this week, as well as the new Wolverine game that Insomniac Games is producing. And if it's anything like the Spider-Man games, which have been the epitome of Marvel games on the platforms, it's going to be fantastic.
The PS4 Spider-Man, I don't have a PS5, but the PS4 Spider-Man was really good,
so
and I
good.
want to play the Miles Morales
It's
one.
also extremely good. Same gameplay, and this Spider-Man 2 it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. And part of this, it's not just the gameplay and the open world swinging, it's the storyline that it tells within it, and it feels like a Spider-Man storyline.
Oh, to be young and have all the time in the world to play video games. I took that for granted when I was in high school. Yeah, nowadays I have a full-time job and, got to watch sports and stuff like
that.
You
make time for what you love, gentlemen. Yep. You make time for it.
I will play the new Pokemon games. I was going to make time for Dying Light if the reviews were good. NBA 2K22 reviews have sounded much better and improved. It's making me think about it. Usually somewhere in December, they have like a holiday 50% off deal. I'm not going to buy 2K. I'm not that much of a 2K head where I need to get my player up. But hey, we're way late here on San Antonio Sports Star. This is halftime. Thanks for spending your midday break with us. ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM.
Texas Rangers baseball.
Leo 1. Joey looks to bunt toward third. Nobody there. Base hit, Joey Gallo.
Texas Rangers baseball happens here. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
The Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers keep trading haymakers in their 4-game series at Globe Life Park, with the Astros retaking the lead last night on a 7-2 victory. Kyle Tucker went 3 of 4 from the plate with 3 runs scored, a double, and a home run. It was a 3-home run night for the Astros as Marwin Gonzalez and Jake Myers also added deep balls for the Astros lineup. For the Rangers, Kohei Arihara got the start and the loss on the mound, allowing 6 runs off 8 hits in 4 innings pitched. The Astros and the Rangers play their final game of the Silver Boot Series tonight with the first pitch slated for 7:05. And in San Antonio baseball, the Missions fell to the Corpus Christi Hooks 4-0 last night in Game 2 of their 6-game series to end the season. Those are your baseball headlines. For San Antonio Sports Star, I'm Carl Schoening.
Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners to tell you they have the perfect solution for your family's complete water treatment. The top-of-the-line CareSoft Elite Plus 1 filter is an advanced 2-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that may be in your water. Right now, save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus 1 system while supplies last. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Learn more at alamowatersofteners.com. Again, the website, alamowatersofteners.com.
O'Reilly. It's O Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you can earn double, triple, even up to 5 times O Rewards points on select purchases. Get bonus points on more than 200 items throughout the store, like wiper blades, fuel system cleaners, motor oil, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And don't you just love the smell of old books? Shh, this is a library. Sorry, ma'am. We're looking for a book titled Liberty Mutual Customizes Your Car Insurance so you only pay for what you need. I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction. He really does devour literature. Please leave. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This back-to-school update is presented by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. In Philadelphia, a group of teenagers are working to educate their classmates about the vaccine. Here's Philly Teen Vax Ambassador, Angelique Kiasan.
There's a lot of false information out there, especially with social media being around, and we're there to spread real information.
Fever is the key symptom for both the flu and COVID. The Exergen Temporal Scanner is essential to detect fevers early and reliably. Learn more at Exergen.com.
What's stopping you from getting the original Peloton bike?
I need flexibility with my workouts.
Choose from thousands of classes available 24/7.
It's hard for me to stay motivated.
Programs, artist series, and badges keep you reaching new goals.
45-minute bike boot camp, 30-minute hit ride.
My 45-minute hip-hop ride.
You get all that? For how much?
The original Peloton bike is now at its best price ever. Get game-changing cardio at a new game-changing price. The original Peloton bike, now $400 less. Learn more at onepeloton.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
My husband's ED was affecting our marriage. When he first started experiencing ED, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't know who to talk to about it or where to get help. HIMSS was our answer. HIMSS connected my husband with a licensed provider online. He was able to get medication to treat his ED at a fraction of the price people pay for the name brand. It was delivered to our door, and guess what? Our sex life is back. It works.
Right now, get your first online provider's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/radio. Yep, free. No copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Just the care you need.
Thanks to HIMSS, we got our sex life and our marriage back.
To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Working from home, you realize you don't have enough outlets or USB ports. Hill Electric can fix that for you. For over 3 decades, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio homes and businesses. From adding an outlet, fixing that fuse that always blows, or that flickering light, Hill Electric has the right service at the right price, and there is never a service charge and always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074. Or go to hill-electric.com.
Hi, everyone. Michael Kielbasa with Kielbasa Smoked Meats here. When you bring a package of our smoked sausage home, keep it simple. It's handcrafted in small batches and fully cooked, so you can just heat it up and enjoy. My favorite way to eat it is on a bun with mustard or wrapped in a tortilla. Try some from a store near you today, and if it's not the best you've ever tasted, I'll give you your money back. Guaranteed. Find Kielbasa at a store near you today.
The Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a primetime showdown.
Let's take care of business.
Catch all the action Sunday starting at 3:25. Sponsored by Ewald Kubota, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hey, it's Greeny, and I've only got 10 seconds, so here's my plug. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Thank you, Greeny. I only got 10 seconds myself. Thank y'all for sticking with us on halftime. I've been Carl Schoening. He's been Rob Thompson. Edwin running the ship. Y'all enjoy it. The mix.
You can change. I'm going to stay, Rob.
Yeah. Minix and the Blitz are coming up at 4. We'll see y'all later.
San Antonio Sports Star Pro Football Pick'em. Online at sasportsstar.com. Can you pick the perfect matchups all season long? If so, you could win $50,000. Weekly winners score gift cards to Pinkerton's Barbecue and the Mellow Mushroom. For official contest rules and to play, visit sasportsstar.com. Must be at least 21 years old to play this nationwide contest. One winner will be selected at the end of the season. The Pro Football Challenge from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza.